Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Glenn. This is Legally Speaking. Today I want to talk a little bit about what the difference between a probate asset and a non-probate asset is. So I'm going to share my screen here with a graphic. When we talk about the total gross estate, we're talking about everything that you own, anywhere, anyhow, anyway. Okay, so then there's a difference when you break down the total gross taxable estate between non-probate assets and probate assets. I get asked this question a lot. What happens to my assets when I die? Okay, well, that depends on a lot of things. It depends on how it's owned. It depends if there's beneficiaries or transfer on death designations. It depends if it's owned by a trust rather than an individual. So when we look at the probate assets are assets that the deceased individual or the living individual owns in their own name without a beneficiary. And that is what would be distributed as a part of the court process. So that's on this side here. So the will is going to control what happens with those assets. The will is going to say, I want these things to go to these beneficiaries, and those beneficiaries are going to inherit. If there is no will, it's going to go to the heirs at law. So on this other side, when we talk about non-probate assets, if the asset has a joint owner and there's rights of survivorship, for instance, a husband and wife own their house jointly with rights of survivorship. One of them dies, the surviving owner owns that asset automatically. It doesn't go through probate. There's nothing that happens there. That survivor owns that asset. Kind of the same thing with beneficiary designations. So someone passes away, they have a life insurance policy, they've listed a named beneficiary on that policy. That beneficiary is going to make a claim, and that life insurance company is going to pay that beneficiary. Matters not what the will says in these cases over here with non-probate assets. So when we talk about trusts and using trust to avoid probate, if the trust owns an asset, the trust is going to name a beneficiary of that asset, and that's where that's going to go. Again, doesn't matter what the will says. It's going to happen without having to probate that will, without the court process. So there's a lot to this. If we can help in any way, answer questions on this, be happy to do so. Our telephone number is 217-735-1234. Thanks for joining us.